ever feel that tug between two worlds, I mean?
Yeah.
Like the comfort of where you're from, but then that pull of where you feel like you're going. Yeah, that's what we're diving into today. A journey from, well, Kathmandu
to Silicon Valley.
Exactly. We've got this book, From Kathmandu to Silicon Valley, My American Journey. And it's more than just a travelogue, It gets at ambition.
Oh, yeah.
Cultural clashes. And that question we all ask, where is home?
Right. And what really struck me right off the bat, our author, Anil, he starts his American dream in, get this, Nebraska.
No.
Nebraska.
Not New York.
Nope, not the bright lights he was probably imagining. He even calls it, what was it? Oh, yeah, a flyover state.
Wow, talk about a reality check. You get off the plane, master's in computer science, ready to, take on the tech world, and you land in Nebraska.
It's that dissonance, right? Going from Kathmandu, this vibrant, chaotic city, to this wide-open, quiet landscape. I mean, he describes it as just me in the open skies.
I don't know. Depending on the day, that sounds either terrifying or amazing.
Right.
And it's interesting because that computer science background, that becomes his bridge. He's feeling isolated, missing his people.
Sure.
And then boom, he finds it, not with the locals, but in the computer lab. Late nights, lines of code, other international students.
It's like a universal language, that coding.
Totally. And it made me think, when you find that kinship in a new place, does it lessen the pull of home? Or does it make you miss it even more?
That is such a good question. Because it's not just about clicking with someone, right?
Yeah.
It's about what those connections represent. Those late nights, they weren't just building software, they were building a sense of belonging. And that becomes crucial, I think, as he sets his sights on Silicon Valley.
Okay, Silicon Valley, the promised land for a tech mind, right?
But even getting there, it's not that simple.
Not at all. And this is where his journey, it takes another turn. He's pictured himself, walking into Google, Facebook, the whole 9 yards, ready to take his place like he's earned it.
But his first job, a small consulting firm, he calls it a crash course in American corporate culture.
Okay, we got to unpack that. He talks about growing up in Nepal, where humility, that's valued. You don't brag, you don't draw attention to yourself. And then he's in these meetings where it's all about self-promotion.
Yeah, totally different rules.
It's like the game changed on him mid-play.
And that's such a good point because it's subtle. His skills, those got him in the door. But it's how he adapts, how he takes his upbringing and reconciles it with this very American way of working. That's what makes him thrive.
He learns to stand out, which I bet was uncomfortable at first. But it works. He lands a job at this, he calls it a reputed tech company, so he's made it, right?
Yeah.
There's more.
There's always more to the story. This is where the H1B Visa comes in.
Oh boy, that infamous piece of paperwork.
It's like the skills that made him so desirable, they become almost a trap. His fate's tied to his employer.
There's that stress, that uncertainty. It's like the dark side of the American dream. You achieve success, but with this fear.
Yeah, that dependence.
He even calls it, I wrote this down, a gilded cage.
Which is so perfect, right? Because he's climbed the ladder, he's got this professional success, but at what cost?
And that question, that's what gets me. What are we willing to sacrifice for our dreams? And can you really have it all?
And just when you think he's found his footing, things shift again. He gets his green card.
Freedom.
Right. Like a second birthday, he said.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Relief, the whole bit.
But then, and this is what I love about this story, he starts going back to Nepal, and he starts to feel this longing.
That tug of war. The life he built, the place he left behind.
It's so universal, isn't it?
Absolutely, that pull. You build a life somewhere new, but there's always that piece of you.
It's like he's chasing a moving target. You know, he gets that stability, the thing he wanted in America. But it's like, by putting down roots there, he realizes how much he's still rooted in Nepal.
It's that feeling, right? You go back home and it's familiar, but also like you've changed. Like you both belong and don't belong at the same time.
Exactly. And he sees the potential in Nepal, especially the tech scene there. It's growing. And his skills, those technical skills, they become this bridge. He starts to think, maybe I can help. Maybe I can contribute.
It's like a full circle thing. He chased the American dream, and now he's thinking about bringing what he learned back to Nepal.
Right, but it's not that easy, is it? He sees the challenges, the politics, the bureaucracy, even just the infrastructure. It's not just about having the skills. It's about whether those skills can actually be used.
You know, it made me think about those early days he described. The coding, the late nights with other international students. Was that just a stepping stone to America, or was it like part of something bigger, something that always connected him back to Nepal?
That's a great point. It makes you question that whole, like, linear idea of immigration. Leave, succeed, maybe go back. His story is more, how do I put it, more cyclical. It's about all these different parts of him, of his identity.
And just when you think he's figured it out, it gets even more complicated. He talks about the possibility of, U.S. citizenship, and it's not this happy thing, there's a sadness there.
Right, because he's weighing these things. The security of it, being able to travel easily, but then giving up his Nepali passport, that means something.
It's like he has to choose, right? But can you really choose who you are?
And that's what's so powerful about this book. It's not some, like, guide to being a successful immigrant. It's about this very real struggle. What's it like to live between two cultures, two homes, two versions of yourself?
Wow. And it makes you realize sometimes the answer to that question, where is home? It's not a place at all, is it? It's a feeling, this mix of experiences and where you've been and where you want to go. And it makes you wonder, is that something we all experience to some degree? That feeling of being pulled in different directions, of trying to reconcile the different parts of ourselves.
Absolutely. Anil's story might be specific to his experience as an immigrant, but the underlying emotions resonate far beyond those borders. That search for identity, that longing for belonging, that's something we all grapple with.
He doesn't offer any easy answers, does he? If anything, he leaves us with more questions.
And I think that's the point. This isn't a guidebook, it's an invitation. An invitation to reflect on our own journeys, our own definitions of home and belonging.
He throws this curveball at the end, almost casually mentioning this idea he's been playing with, using his tech skills to create a digital platform, a way to connect Nepali entrepreneurs with mentors and resources around the world.
It's such a powerful image, right? Technology, which initially represented his escape from Nepal, his entry into the American dream, now becoming a bridge back to his homeland.
It's like those late nights in the computer lab have come full circle. Only now, he's not just seeking connection for himself, he's trying to create it for others.
And that's where his story leaves us, not with a triumphant return, but with this open question, this possibility. Can he reconcile these two worlds, not by choosing one over the other, but by building a bridge between them?
So what do you think? Can you have two homes? Two versions of yourself? And what happens when those two worlds collide?
Those are questions worth pondering.
Right.
And that's the beauty of a deep dive like this. We've unpacked a personal story, yes, but we've also unearthed universal truths about ambition, identity, and the very human desire to find our place in the world.
From Kathmandu to Silicon Valley and back again. This has been a journey, hasn't it? Thanks for joining us as we explored the complexities of chasing dreams, navigating cultures, and ultimately searching for that elusive feeling of belonging. Keep exploring, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.